time is one of those weird things that as the more we progress, the more years that go by, the more free time we end up having. Just think about if you were a housewife only 20 or 30 years ago. You'd have to wash all of your clothes by hand. You would have to cook every single meal from scratch. I don't even know how they would clean their carpets. I don't know how they did that. But nowadays, you've got a Hoover, automatically cleans the carpet in just a couple minutes. You've got a washing machine, completely washes your dishes. No, that's a dishwasher. You've got a washing machine for your clothes and a dishwasher for all of your dishes. If you really pushed on time, you can just go to the shop and you can buy a ready-made meal. Nowadays, we have so much free time, but we end up wasting it. So we're going to go through 4 different lessons that you can get from the Stoics who were alive 2,000 years ago on how you can save time. Now, I know that might sound a bit weird. 2,000 years ago, why are we taking advice from them? What do they know? Correct, all of these distractions that we have at the moment, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, all of those distractions are modern day distractions, but wasting time, that's been around since humans ever existed. So let's get on to the 4 ways that you can start saving time today through using Stoic techniques. Now, if you're new around here, then make sure you go down and subscribe because we talk about the no bullshit guide to improving your life using ancient philosophies, not talking about the history side of it, but how it can actually improve your life. So go ahead, subscribe right now. We're tight-fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time. The one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers. Seneca. So Seneca says that we should treat time in the same way that we treat our possessions. Because think about it, you would never go down the street and just hand your laptop to a stranger. But when a stranger walks down the street and maybe bumps into you, or a stranger honks his horn at you for no reason, you give him your time, because although you're not saying, here you go, here's a favor, you're letting your brain think about that event. You're practically wasting your time thinking about that event. And where your mind spends its time is a valuable resource. The Stoics also recommend that you should think about death. And I know that sounds morbid, but it's completely the opposite. Because the more you think about death, the more urgency you have. The more perspective that you have that your life is short. This time that you have on earth is short and it can slip by pretty quickly. So by thinking about your death and thinking about meditating and contemplating your death, you recognize that in a month's time, you could die. In a year's time, you could die. In 5 years' time, you could die. In 1 minute's time, you could die. It happens all the time. Think of all the people that are driving home. They don't expect anything bad to happen, but they die in a car crash. Think of all the people that go up on an aeroplane and they're just thinking, great, I'm going on holiday, I'm so excited. The plane crashes. Think about all of those people that are completely fit, healthy. They spend all their life making themselves healthy. They eat healthy food. They go to the gym every single week. And one day they get this pain in their chest and they have a little lump. And they go to the doctors and they get diagnosed with breast cancer and they've got only 2 weeks to live, or 6 months to live, or a year to live. That could happen to you. And don't let this get you down. Only use this, direct this energy, because thinking about death and really contemplating about death gives you a lot of energy. And it's up to you to direct that energy which way you want. You can use it to think, why am I here if I could die at any second? What's the point? You could direct that energy to think, oh no, I'm just going to stay in my house. I don't want to die. I don't want to take any chances. Or you could direct that energy into making the most out of your time. Spending your time doing the things that you love doing. Spending your time doing the things that are going to have an impact on the world. That is what you should spend your time doing. And it all starts with treating your time as if it's one of your possessions. But it's actually more important than money. Because if, for example, you lose all of your money gets stolen from you, which it could happen, by the way, don't get too attached to money, but your money could get stolen. Then, what would you do? You'd go out and you'd make that money back. You might work harder, you might have to save extra, might have to save more. Say you get a pay cut, you'd have to save more, you'd have to spend less. All of these things would have to happen. The same can't be said for money. If you waste an hour's time, it's gone. If you waste a day's time, it's gone. If you waste multiple hours every single day, that stacks up into years and years and years of your life, a large percentage of your life completely gone. And I have this attitude for only one reason, because I spent 28 days of my life meditating on death. thinking deep about death and all of the things that it made me feel I would direct it positively, go ahead, watch the video that's going to be up in one of those corners if you want to know all of these weird sort of secrets that you wouldn't expect to come up by thinking about death. Go ahead and watch that video. The mind must be given relaxation. It will arise better and keener after resting, as rich fields must not be forced for their productiveness. If they have no rest, will quickly exhaust them. So constant labor will break the vigor of the mind, but if it is released and relaxed a little while, it will recover its powers. Again, by Seneca. And you can see that even though Seneca was alive 2,000 years ago, he's actually proven correct through science at the moment. Because science has now proven that taking short little breaks throughout the day is actually beneficial to your mind. Instead of just saying, I'm gonna hustle, I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna work. You will actually get more done by having a little short walk. Let me read you another quote by Seneca. He said that we ought to take outdoor walks in order that the mind may be strengthened and refreshed by the open air and much breathing. And again, that's proven correct as well by science. Taking short walks through the wilderness, where I am at the moment, taking a short walk, just take a little break in your day, will actually refresh your mind and get you more productive. But the same thing applies to sleep. And although you might think, why would I sleep 8 hours if I can get away with only sleeping 6? Because although you're making up those 2 hours by waking up earlier, you're actually wasting those 2 hours in productivity. Because if you get less sleep than you need, your brain is working on around 65% capacity than it would do if you were working on 100% of your needed sleep. There's actually signs about where I drive at the moment saying that driving tired is actually more dangerous than driving drunk. But the same thing applies, of course, to your work and your productiveness. If you're working with tiredness, you're going to be sluggish, you're going to be unconcentrated, you're going to be all over the place. And the third point about this is that the same thing applies to just stepping back and planning your day. And although you might end up spending 10-20 minutes planning your day, and that seems like a waste of time when you could just get on and start working, that's actually going to save you so much time in the long run, because you'll be doing the things that actually moves the needle forwards, the things that actually give you benefits to your life, instead of the things that just make you feel like you're working. It's kind of like what your old English teacher, your old literature teacher used to say about planning your essay before you start. The same thing goes with your day. Plan the day before you start going out throughout the day. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. And again by Seneca. And this kind of comes back to the Stoic idea of meditating on the death. By recognizing that you could die at any second, you're going to find yourself stopping procrastinating. Because if you could die in a day's time, or you could die in 2 hours' time, do you want to spend that last 2 hours of your time procrastinating, doing the thing that isn't actually giving you pleasure, doing the thing that's giving you instant gratification, like eating McDonald's instead of cooking a nice meal for your wife? Thinking about death and recognizing that we should not postpone anything is a perfect addition to your life, adding more urgency to your life to stop wasting your time. Let's get on to number 4. Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered man than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some own time in his own company. Again, by Seneca. This is an experiment that I've been practicing a lot with recently. Instead of constantly trying to absorb information, instead of always on the bus listening to an audiobook, or even when I'm washing my hands, I took this to the extreme. Even when I was washing my hands, going to the toilet, I'd plug in and I'd listen to audiobooks so I could constantly be downloading positive information into my brain. But ever since I stopped doing that, ever since I started giving myself little snippets of the day, a little walk here, 2 minutes in between gym sets when I'm resting, just to take a step back and think about the big picture. Check, am I in line with my goals? Am I doing what I need to do? This, along with an end of the day review, which I do with my journaling, which journaling's amazing, is essential. Taking specific sections out of the day, 1 minute here, 30 seconds here, just to step back, let your brain think and sync, and let all of the ideas that are going in your mind flow between each other, make the connections between your mind. There's 2 modes of thinking: focused and diffused thinking. And Thomas Edison actually did this experiment where he would hold some keys in his hand and he would sit and he would relax in his chair, and he would get so relaxed that all of this diffuse thinking would happen in his brain. And then when he fall asleep, when the diffuse thinking was at the most extreme, he would drop his keys and he would wake up. And he would use this diffuse thinking because he knew that the more diffuse thinking that he had, the more length that the brain would be able to make connections. It would be able to connect this idea over here to this idea over there, making connections, making epiphanies throughout your brain. He used that thinking every single day. But by having these little 30-second chunks of time where you snap out of your focus mode of thinking and you go into your diffused mode of thinking, just puts everything into perspective. You think, hold on a second, why am I doing this? This isn't on my to-do list. Hold on a second, why am I doing this? This doesn't move the needle forwards. Hold on a second, why am I doing this? I don't enjoy this, and if I could die in an hour's time, do I want to spend the last hour of my life doing this thing? The answer is no. Those are the 4 things that you can use to step up your life using Stoicism. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you like the video. Just go ahead, like this video right now. Drop down in the comments if you have any other principles that you can use about Stoicism, any other principles that you use to save time using Stoicism. Drop down in the comments. I love hearing from you, and I will have a conversation with you down there in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.